Are Jade Lancers polished in patch 8.1? If you saw my Peasant Horsemen video, you have a good idea of how lots of techs are going to land to make Jade Lancers way better than stock. If you didn't, stay tuned and you'll learn anyway. A lot of people didn't like this unit before because, well, 1. Cathay has great ranged, 2. They didn't see an upside sufficient to justify taking less crossbow units. Let's go into that upside now and see if the Jade Lancers are worth your money. Speaking of, Jade Lancers are recruited for 800 gold and 200 upkeep, or exactly what you normally pay for trolls. This is a 60 entity cav unit with 6,480 health, or 108 each entity. Armor is a dazzling 100 with shields blocking a decent 30% of small arms missile fire from the front, making them better at surviving the critical moments when attacking a missile infantry unit. Leadership of 64 isn't terrible at all. Speed 78 and charge speed 108 are like lots of Lord and Hero war horses. Melee attack begins at 26. Did you know this is the exact same value as Peasant Horsemen? Attack interval 3.9 is also the same, which is unusually low for real cavalry quote-unquote. In fact, it's often like 5.1 seconds. There is no splash damage. Melee defense 28 is a bit better than the peasants. Weapon strength 30 is better on the AP side, split base 21 and armor piercing 9. However, charge bonus 55 is a substantial improvement, and massive 1000 is literally double than that of the peasants. Hide in Forest is standard issue. Battle Harmony Yang, when triggered, is leadership +4, melee attack and defense +4 as a minimum. Dragon Lord boosting would raise it to +8 for all three, but that needs a dragon in human form and a yin unit to activate, at least normally. I keep mentioning Onyx Crowman as the easiest and lowest level to use for that on the hoof. Fighting close to your own lines could do it too, but that's defeating the purpose of cavalry. So far, this isn't that impressive, but it gets much better. In the Cathay Lord Redline skills, building for hitting power means Mighty Charge, adding +8% weapon strength for general damage boosting, and +18% charge bonus, or 64.9. I think that'll round up. Rank 7 and better get Unified Charge for speed +10%, melee attack +5, and physical resistance +10%, and all are desperately desired. In the Grand Cathay Tech Tree, Mastery of Yang gives leadership +4, the +10% weapon strength for initiating an attack with Yang Reflection is nice. The inner speed +20% speed boost is extremely nice, since this is slower than Peasant Horsemen. -10% fatigue buildup helps too. I double-checked in-game, and Jade's stance really does apply to them, so that's +15 armor and +4 melee defense right there. Drill Training kicks in to add armor +10, leadership +6, and melee defense +4 again. Once again, we lean upon flanking stratagems for the really impactful cavalry stuff for armor +20, charge bonus +15 flat, and any rank 7 and above ones will benefit from Devastating Flanker to double charge bonus. Since CB doesn't rise with rank, we can calculate easily. With the +15 from this tech and +18% from Mighty Charge, it gets to 82.6, and Devastating Flanker, if present, will boost that to right about charge bonus 165? Being a Yang unit, Jade Veteran Facility reduces upkeep by 10%, raises recruit rank by +2, and increases melee attack baseline by +4. That's nice because nothing was directly increasing that outside of situational harmony buffs. So how do we use Jade Lancers to skewer all opposition? The key practical problem is that this remains a Reichsguard-style cavalry unit, only capable of doing massive amounts of armor piercing from a full charge with absolute maximum bonuses running. It can get heavily armored. 145 is a lot, plus 30% missile block shields. But it can't do the job of elite anti-cavalry cav, monstrous infantry, and monstrous cavalry. It becomes far better in the armored general cavalry tier than it has any right to normally be. But it hits a wall, and that's why people find it to be a tough ask for 200 upkeep, plus having to build a building at all. And yet, despite this, used with minimal levels of skill and caution, it is worth having a few of them sitting around, waiting for the opportunity to strike. One of my refrains I may not have said much of lately thanks to covering infantry is the need to stretch the battlefield. Your longer-ranged allies, such as artillery, crane gunners, and indeed the longer-ranged crossbowmen, only get their full value if they have time and space to fire, both in terms of providing that space and punishing enemies for committing their forces and leaving a path to the backline. You need something that can reach out and attack in force in order to create that effect. The threat is as important as the reality. Cathay may be able to win a missile duel and to devastate infantry at closer ranges, but it can't really do both at the same time, not with missiles alone. But something like Jade Lancers will shrug off low armor-piercing missile fire long enough to make violent contact with all sorts of missile troops and do serious damage, plus interfere with the shooting, plus retaining the ability to disengage and hit something else, controlling the action with multiple enemy missile infantry units. So in that sense, most of what I described above doesn't actually matter. The most consequential part came in at the start, plus 20% to speed. This tech is what turns the Jade Lancers into contenders. Unified Charge in the Redline skills adding another plus 10% speed, and so forth, turns them into champions. What does that give us? Speed 101. That's the repositioning speed, not the charge speed, and I'm making plain, that's faster than a lot of factions' light cavalry without heavy boosting. That's more shocking than the increases in armor. The key to making this work, besides not being a legendary tryhard, is essentially causing the enemy so many problems it has to adjust to you more than you are adjusting to it with micro. Your few units doing micro are obliterating the choices the enemy is trying to make. The advanced class in this, because people may reject taking these measures for expendable peasants, is to use Onyx Croman, run a jet line over there, use a non-mount Great Moon Bird, or fly over a Sky Lantern. Of course, if fighting close to your lines, you don't even need to worry about that. What this does is make Jade Lancers able to fight it out in raw melee, not just cycle charge. Sometimes this is the better option purely because you're already sandwiching the enemy and you're attacking it in the quote-unquote rear. The level above this is to divide and conquer. You don't want to cheaply lose cavalry, but if something's willing to chase them and is faster than the rest of the force, lure them into your thicker missile forces. You might take some damage, but it'll be worth it. And if the enemy is already under satisfactory levels of missile fire, distract their missile units with cavalry so that they stop moving, then flee out of range. Either you'll be cleaning up the missile units, or the infantry can be attacked without retaliation. Or maybe you divide your labor and are doing some degree of both at the same time. Without a single kill, your cavalry have shaped the battlefield. When the time is right, you can go after the artillery, if any, wipe out the rear lines in comfort, and crush what's left of the infantry against the shoals of your own infantry. That is how stretching the battlefield works. You are costing the enemy time, attention, and attrition. And only once you've created the openings do you need to commit fully, and even then, you cycle charge or bounce between units as need be for maximum disruption. We look elsewhere for pure armor piercing on the move. Here, we take what we can get, and if we get charge bonus A3 rounded up, that means the charge is doing 9 AP plus almost 25 more for 34 per hit, with a lot more base damage that may be being resisted to a greater or lesser degree. These are not bad numbers. They just have limits. For a 200 gold upkeep unit, this is more than fine. It is tactically precious. Take care and have fun sticking pointy things into the forces of chaos at high speed.